Hello and welcome. I am Lindsay Vastola, and I'm thrilled to introduce our next session. Welcome to those of you who are first-time Summit attendees and those who have returned. It's always a favorite annual event. So I'm excited to introduce Trevor. I've gotten to know him over the last, I guess, 3 years
Yep.
through Coach Catalyst. We've been at different events and getting to know more about his businesses as well as the Coach Catalyst platform. I've had the privilege of using it. It's absolutely fantastic. But he's going to talk about never lose a client again. I think he has a unique background to this, not only as a business owner, a fitness business owner, but seeing how other fitness coaches, how they're managing, how they are keeping their clients. So Trevor, make sure you guys, everybody, make sure you have your writing utensils or whatever you use now to take notes, because I have no doubt that you're in for a treat. So Trevor, I will turn it over to you. If anybody has questions, post them in the chat, and Trevor, I'm sure he always does a great job of being able to navigate any questions, and there should be some time as well. So be sure, I'm going to do this because I might not have time at the end. You have a Q&A after this. So
yeah, Q&A like right after, I think.
Right after this, there will be a Q&A. And then also be sure to visit Coach Catalyst in the virtual expo as well. So if you have any questions, that might be a good platform as well. I'm going to turn it over for sure this time, Trevor. Enjoy, everybody.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. And thanks everyone for showing up. I wish I could be in Denver right now. It's a lot more fun doing this stuff in person, be able to interact with you guys and help you on more of a personal level, but you know, desperate times call for some different measures. So I'm glad we're still doing this, and I'm excited to bring some value for you guys today, and hopefully you take some stuff out of this. And I'll kind of give you some of my unique background, but today is all about never lose a client again. I know this is maybe kind of an audacious type of proclamation, right? To never lose a client again. But honestly, I feel like this is what we need to strive for as professionals, but also as a facility. And the bigger you get, the more challenging this becomes, right? If you only have 4 or 5 clients, it's really easy to keep all your clients. But when you have 200 and 250, it changes a little bit. And so as we get bigger and as you get better at doing this, which means you're going to get more clients, we have to have the right things in place. And so today I'm going to give you really some principles to think about. The tools and that kind of stuff, that can all change, but we want to talk about the core principles, the things that are really never going to change. So we're looking at building a business that lasts. All right, so like Lindsay said, my name is Trevor. Some of my background, classic health and fitness, played sports in college, played professionally in Germany, basketball for about 3 years, and then have always really been interested in health and fitness. It's always just been a passion of mine. And really for me, it was human performance at the beginning, personally, selfishly, because I wanted to try and reach the highest levels of the things that I was working in. But then it eventually moved into how do we create healthier communities, and how do we create a healthier world? Because most of you can just walk around and you notice that we're not a very healthy place. And so it takes more of you guys to keep more of your clients and get more clients to start creating this momentum that we need in the world to just create a healthier, happier place. Some of my like formal background here, one is precision nutrition. So they've been a critical part in my education as a nutrition professional. So I've done their level 1 and level 2 certifications, and they're phenomenal. I think they're one of the best education companies out there. And then I've got a background from a training standpoint in National Strength Conditioning Association, CSCS, and then a whole bunch of other certs that everyone gets and, you know, is fun to put on a resume, but like those are the major ones. So, all right, I do a couple things. So first and foremost, we'll go back here. First and foremost is on the left side is my gym. So that's where everything came out of. And like the gym too was like a 4 or 5 year process. Like I didn't just start in the gym. I started training my mom and my stepdad in the local community center, probably like many people on this call, right? And I kind of got my chops in the boot camp craze. And so I was kind of in that where I went into large group training next. And so I started doing large groups, 15, 20 people. We were on a basketball court. We were in a storage closet. We were in a hockey rink. Like we were all over the place. And then eventually moved up and started doing semi-private training. And then eventually brought one coach on to help me out because we were getting too busy, and then eventually moved into my own facility, which then happened in 3 phases. So we did phase 1, and then we expanded another 500 square feet into phase 2, and then we expanded another 500 square feet in phase 3. So it's kind of had to earn it. We had to earn it each time. So I had some rules where I kind of had to earn the next step before I could invest all of that money in that next thing. And we had to prove it with our numbers. So we had to build an actual business, right? Because that's what we're trying to do. And now we are 5 staff strong. We always sit around 200 clients. We do semi-private training, team training, and we do a lot of nutrition coaching. And now we're kind of transitioning, especially with all this stuff, into more of, I want to call it like a lifestyle facility. So our goal is not just to be workouts. Our goal is to help you become the best version of you, whatever that may be. And that may mean nutrition coaching. That might be lifestyle coaching. That might mean getting in the sauna. That might mean coming in for personal training. It might be our group training. And so our goal is to provide this lifestyle facility, but not like your big Lifetime Fitness type lifestyle, like our micro gym where relationships and community are really the cornerstone of everything. So that's what we're trying to build with our team at Functional Fitness. And in order to start making that happen, we had to move into this software realm. So I'm not a software guy. I do not write a single line of code, nor could I read a line of code. But a friend of mine, Kane, one of my best friends from college and teammate, we decided to embark on this journey of creating a software. We ran into all of these issues with trying to hold clients accountable. We said we wanted to help affect clients' lives, but they were only with us 2, maybe 3 hours out of the week. There were other 165 hours of the week when they had the chance to screw it up. And so we needed to find a platform to help us navigate that. And just for 1 or 2 people, but for 50 and for 100. And then actually probably the time when because we talked about the idea of Coach Catalyst for probably a year, maybe a year and a half, like every great idea, like, we should do it. Yeah, we should do it. And like, we're going to do it and we're never doing it. And finally we kind of bit the bullet. And what happened was, so we run transformation challenges a lot at my facility. It's a nice lead gen, and also a back end offering at our facility. And we ran a big challenge. It was like 100 people. And I just remember with this one client, we have an in-body. So the client steps on the in-body and steps on, I'm kind of there, typing in the numbers, yada, yada, yada. Get done with it, print it out, start entering her numbers in, and realize that she gained 3 pounds, right? So many of you, this has probably happened to a lot of people, we promise one thing, but we don't necessarily have the systems in place in order to really deliver on that. We were dealing with 100 people with 3 staff members, and trying to stay on top of all of those people is just impossible, right? And so that was the moment where like, we need to find a better solution. We need to start creating something because there was nothing on the market. Because we need to know where people are at on a daily basis. I can't find out 6 weeks later that Susie, who I promised was going to get 10 pounds during these last 6 weeks, has now gained 3 pounds. Like I have not fulfilled my duty to her as a coach to keep her on track. And had I known that she was struggling in week 1, I could have reached out to her. All right. So that's kind of some of the backstory in Coach Catalyst and why we created it. So that we can ultimately coach our clients better. Because we have better data, we know exactly how they're doing. Now, there's a shift that's happening in the industry right now. And it's been accelerated over the last 3 months because of everything that's been going on, right? We've all had to go virtual. We've had to figure out new business operations, new business solutions. So there's this huge shift. So it was happening before, but now it's just been accelerated. And what used to matter a lot, workouts, think like the 80s, the 90s, the aerobics, the group fitness classes, like that used to matter the most. But what's happened in the last probably decade is this rise in boutique gyms, rise in coaching. And what that provides is more than just workouts. So what clients are now looking for in their marketplace is more than just a workout. They want to go to a place where they feel like they belong. They want to go to a place where they feel community. They want to go to a place that's going to help them be the best version of themselves. And workouts, yes, may be a piece of that. And a lot of times workouts are kind of I don't want to say carrot, because like not too many people love working out, but that's kind of the thing why they come in. But then they realize that it's about more than that. It's more about transformation, whether it's mind and body. And so that's where the best gyms are moving towards. They're serving that whole client. Maybe they're working on stress reduction techniques, or maybe they're working on mindfulness or other things. And so as professionals, we need to figure out how we create well-rounded solutions so that we can serve our clients. Because if we don't give it to them, someone else will, or they'll go looking for it somewhere else. Because if all we offer is workouts, like we're not going to be able to keep clients very long because like at the end of the day, it's just working out. So are we asking the wrong question? And that question is, how do I get more leads? Like anyone you talk to is like, I just need to get more people in the door. Like, how do I get more leads? How do I get more leads? You go to any presentation, and every presentation that talks about leads or sales or things like that is probably gonna have the most people in it. Everybody is looking for that quick fix. But pretend like we have this bucket, right? We have a big bucket, and the bucket contains all of our clients. And if we have a ton of holes in that bucket, or one really big hole on one side, we can't put clients in the top of the bucket fast enough because they're falling out the bottom. And so what happens is most people get it backwards. They think they need more leads, but really they have a retention problem. And we need to fix the retention problem, and we need to plug the hole in the bucket, and then we go get more leads. Because now when we get more leads, they're much more valuable because they're staying a whole lot longer. And we have sealed up the bucket so that they stay for forever, right? So we never lose a client again. So here's just some stats for you. Acquiring a new customer can cost 5 times more than retaining a current customer, than an existing customer. Next one, increasing customer retention by 5%, just 5%, that's not very long, right? 5% can increase profits 25 to 95%. So it can almost double your profits in some cases by simply increasing retention by 5%. Okay, not a lot. We're looking for big levers here. So just to give you some numbers, okay? So $200 a month, let's say you have a client paying you $200 a month for 12 months. That's a total ticket value of $2,400, right? Now, let's say you increase it to 14 months. So all you do is increase it to 14 months. So 2 extra months, that's $2,800, okay? So that's an extra $400, okay, for that particular lifetime value of the client, okay, $400. Now let's say you have 100 clients. That's an increase of $40,000. And all we did was increase the length of commitment for our client by 2 months, right? Which isn't very long at all. Like when we've got our retention dialed in, we're increasing lifetime value of a client by 6 months, maybe a year. And then those numbers become, astronomical because we're keeping them and we're making another $1,000, $2,000, right? So this is why this is so important. We get sometimes so focused on that next shiny object because sales are sexy. Everybody wants to sell more. Everybody wants more clients. But retention is what the best gyms are doing. They're the gyms that are going to last through a recession. They're the gyms that are going to last through a crisis like this where we get completely shut down. Because I guarantee the best gyms that had the best relationship with their clients, they're going to be able to weather this storm. The gyms that just kind of had a mediocre relationship or they just provided workouts, they probably will not make it through this because they just didn't have the relationship to withstand 3 months without bringing clients in the door. And if I'm not getting workouts, and maybe I'm getting virtual workouts, but it's not the same, right? They're going to leave and now you can't do anything. So this is where it all comes into play. It's about building a more resilient business, a stronger business, so that when this kind of thing happens again, you have the ability to come out on the other side a little bit stronger. So to equal $40,000 with that previous example, you would need 17 new clients. Okay, 17 new clients just to get to that $40,000 and be able to keep them for that full time. So it is just much more economical to lengthen out how long your clients work with you or have them spend more with you than it is to continually look for new clients. So if we have 100 hours in the day, we still want to dedicate some to the front end of sales, but we should dedicate a larger portion of that to the retention aspect. And so it's not about one or the other, it's just about shifting focus. And then once you've really dialed in your systems for retention, now we can go back and fill that bucket up. We can really turn the faucet on because we've got the systems to support it and provide that great experience. So the success rate of selling to a customer you already have is 60 to 70%, while the success rate of selling to a new customer is 5 to 10%. Okay, someone already knows you, they like you, they trust you. You have an add-on for a challenge or a resiliency course or a lifestyle course, they're probably going to buy it because they're already a customer and they know that you put out great stuff. If you're trying to sell someone off of a cold Facebook ad or just out of nowhere, your chances are a lot lower. And so we nurture those relationships. We continue to fix the holes in the bucket. And then from there, then we go out and find new people. It just makes economical sense. Except in our brains, it's hard because it's not as sexy as getting new clients, right? It's kind of like with your clients, right? They should just do the basics. eat the vegetables, eat the protein, get some movement in, but they're looking for, they're looking for keto, they're looking for that next thing, they're looking for that quick fix. Like, we operate the same way. We're all humans, right? So to win this game, you have to create personal experiences for clients. We have moved into a new age where just a generic product is not going to cut it anymore. We need to find ways to create personal experiences. And that's why the micro gym or the boutique gym is going to win, because they have that ability, right? You have that ability to create personal relationships, personal experiences, community, loyalty, all of those things. And that's why you're here today, to get a little bit better. So I have like zero original ideas. I'm just really good at trying things and failing and figuring other things out and like putting things together. And so I like to steal from people that put out really great stuff. And I thought this was a great quote by Chris Cooper, Two Brain Business. He said, "Great coaches sell one-on-one relationships, but sometimes the exercise component is delivered in a group." Right? Maybe you're doing group exercise, but you are delivering a one-on-one relationship with each and every one of the people in the group, right? So if we take this mindset, yeah, I may have a gym of 200 clients, but I have a gym of 200 individuals. And how are we making sure that we serve each one of those individuals and giving them what they need? Because if we are serving them in what they want, not what we think they want, what they actually want, that's how we never lose a client. And like, we're never going to have a retention rate of 100, like all the time 100. We're not always going to bat 1,000. Like, that's just not going to happen. But that's what we shoot for. Because if we're shooting for that, maybe we'll bat 98 out of 100 or 99 out of 100 some months, or have 100 in a few months. And so, but if we're saying like, oh, okay, 95 is good or 94 is good, that's what we're going to settle to. So we want to kind of set the bar nice and high. So this was a strategy that was taught to me by Chris Cooper, and they use it with Two Brain Business. And I just like, this is a phenomenal framework for setting up how we want to think about this client journey, how we want to think about never losing a client. And these are principles, okay? What you put into these principles is going to be unique to your business, unique to how you operate, and unique to the tools that you have available to you and your skill set. So you just have to figure out what you've got for resources, and then you put them into each. But you need each of these points. These are principles. We need to do every single one of them, and we'll go through them individually. So the 4 principles are: number 1 is learn. Okay. Number 2 is design. Number 3 is deliver. And number 4 is refine. Okay. So we'll talk about what each of those means. So let's talk about learn. And I apologize, I don't have like fancy transitions and like giving you one little morsel of content and then to the next one. So you guys are going to see a screen of words, and we're going to start at the top. We're going to read from left to right, and we're going to move our way down. Okay. So number 1 is learn. Okay? Whenever we have a new client, we need to learn about that client. We need to figure out, why are they here? Why are they in front of me? Why are they sitting down across the table? What do they want to accomplish? And a question that we ask our clients all the time is, if we were sitting down in this place 12 months from now, what would need to happen in those 12 months in order for you to feel like that was the best year of my life, or I made tremendous progress? And we really dig into what that client actually wants. Some people have no idea, and they have to think about it for a little bit, which is just fine. And so Two Brain, they have what they call the no sweat intro, and they have 3 different questions that they ask a client when they come in for the first time. This is really quick. This can be done in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I feel like I got a spotlight now. So we have these lights in our facility that go off when no one's moving. So the lights went off on me now. So now it's like my screen is illuminating me. So it's all right. You don't need to hear my voice.
You look great. We just missed the green background.
I know, right?
Like you're in a campground or something.
I know. I promise I'm inside.
It's all about the content. Keep going.
Right. All right. So our level 1 is really the most basic. It can be done in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It really depends on the client and how much they want to share. But there's really 3 major questions we go through. The first one is, what brought you in? So like, why are you here? Like, what was the thing that brought you in? And then like, what would you like to happen? So most people are, weight loss orientated. So what brought you in? Well, I was really thinking about, I needed to do something in order to start losing weight, or I want to start losing weight. Cool. What would you like to happen? Well, I'd like to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds or something like that. And then the really important question is, why is that important to you? And so now we start to kind of layer it back. So we have this weight loss thing that they want, which many times is not necessarily what people are looking for. They're looking for a more internal thing, something that's more fulfilling to them. And so that's where we ask, why is that important to you? And maybe that is important to me because I don't have any confidence right now. And I just don't feel confident when I'm wearing my clothes. And now if you only have 10 or 15 minutes, awesome. We can stop it there. And then we can move them into the next thing, which we'll talk about, the prescription. But if you do have time, let's say you have 30 minutes or 45 minutes, now we really get to dig deep. And so we call this the 5 whys. And this comes from Precision Nutrition. If you just Google Precision Nutrition 5 whys, it'll come up with a nice little a PDF that you can use to help work on this framework as well. But it's basically 5 questions, and they stole it from Toyota. So the 5 whys. Like, why are you doing this? Okay, that's number 1. Why are you doing this? Like, why are we doing this? Why are we here? And like, why do you want to achieve that? All right, so you want to lose 10 pounds. Cool. Like, why do you want to achieve that? Well, I want to be more confident in my clothes. Cool. Like, why is that important? Like, why is being more confident in your clothes important to you? And then they'll take more and more time in between these, right? Because these are like every layer of the onion. And our job as a coach is to say nothing. Your goal is to sit there and let them grapple with this for a little bit and listen to whatever it is that they have to say. And so you just sit and listen, and eventually they'll give you an answer. And after they give you their answer, then we go with the next one. And why will that make a difference, right? When that happens. So we're going another layer deep, and we wait, and eventually they'll give us a response. And then ultimately it's like, why does that matter to you? And now we're going to get to the core of what it is that they want to accomplish, right? And so that is then what we're going to solve for them. Because too many times I see gyms or coaches, they are trying to solve everything with workouts. And so it's like, oh, I want to lose weight. All right, 3 times a week. All right, I want to get stronger. All right, 3 times a week. Group training. All right, I want to get in better shape. All right, 2 times a week, semi-private. Like, everything revolves around a prescription to workouts. When at the end of the day, most clients don't come to us to work out. Like, that is not the goal. They have something bigger that they want to accomplish. They want more energy so they can play with their kids. They want to be able to get up and off the ground because they have grandkids, and they want to, be that energetic grandparent, and they don't want to miss out on anything. They want to be around for a long time. They want to lose weight so they feel confident again in their body. There's all of these other reasons, and we have to unpack that. So we have to be willing to, in this learning phase, go deep with people. And like, sometimes tears are shed. Like, I have had people cry on me on numerous occasions, but I can guarantee if someone cries on me in that session, they are signing up. Like, that's going to happen, right? And so, because I believe that I can help them, right? And I've been able to basically show that I hear them, because at the end of the day, people want to be heard. And so if I show that I hear them, and then I show them I have the solution to their pain, now all of a sudden it's a match, right? And so that's where the 5 whys come into play. This is part of every one of our, we call them success sessions. It's a session everyone has to come into before they end up moving into one of our programs. But as you get better at this too, you don't always have to ask all 5 questions. You don't have to just like keep drilling. You'll get a feel as a coach. There's an artistry to it. You'll know when they've kind of went deep enough. And then maybe sometimes we don't even want to push another level because things can get really raw and the relationship isn't there yet to go to the next level. So as a coach, you understand that you're going to step back. We've gone deep enough. But now over the next year, as this relationship grows, right, now we might be able to peel back another layer after we've built a little bit more trust with that person, right? And so all of this is all about just building trust. And most of it should be the client talking, and you're doing very little, okay? And then once the client has finished, we've figured everything out, then we start to move into the next phase. So with the next phase, we look at design, okay? So first we need to learn about something before we can design it, right? If we don't know where we're going, we can't create the path to get there. So design is the next one. So prescribe, right? When you go to the doctor and you have a headache or you have an injury, they prescribe you something. Maybe it's anti-inflammatory, or maybe it's something else. They want you to do something, right? So as a coach, as a professional, You have put in the work to be able to prescribe things to people. And by prescribe, we're just giving them a list of things that you feel is going to be the best for them. So your prescriptions might be different than another gym's prescriptions, because we all have different skills, and we all have different offerings, right? I think the four major ones that if you are a facility, I think every kind of facility should have these. One is a group-based program. One is a personal type or semi-private, but some sort of, smaller group, more individualized, a nutrition component, and then also some online component. And the online component doesn't need to be like virtual workouts, that kind of stuff. It could very much be like habit coaching or something online where if someone comes to you and they can't train in your facility physically, right? Physically, we have an offering for them, right? Because if they can't train physically and that's our only offering, they're gone, right? It just doesn't work for them. So we need to have those kind of four legs to our business: the group thing, personal training thing, the nutrition thing, and the online thing. And maybe right now, if you're just a solo coach, you don't have a lot of things in place, pick the three that you can do. Can you do group nutrition and online? Can you do personal nutrition and online? What three of those can you do personally? And then as you grow, you bring on other people that may be able to fill those other roles. Okay? And then we have to base it around objective measurements, right? I can't think of a single fat loss client of mine that cares at all about their active straight leg raise score. They care less. Like, no one cares. Like, how is this going to help me lose fat? Like, that's like, well, I could spin it and say like, hey, if we're limited in our posterior chain mobility, it's going to limit our exercise selection. We might not be able to exercise the highest intensity. Like, I could find a way to, but like, honestly, we need to measure things that are important for them. You need to measure things for you so that you can provide a great program for them, but then you need to measure things for them to show them that they're progressing, right? So if you have fancy equipment like an InBody or an eVolt, okay, we can do all of these fun measurements like body fat percentage and muscle mass and fat mass and that kind of stuff, but they have to be related to their goals. So if it's weight loss, fat loss, like, we should be taking those things, right? Because that's just another barometer of success. And are they moving in the right direction? If you don't have a lot of fancy equipment, a tape measure is just fine. Like, let's look at waist circumference, look at hip circumference. If you want to do more circumference, is great. Look at a scale weight. Those are just, we need those objective measurements because they're going to be really important in some other stages that we're going to talk about here in a second. So after that, we've got learn, we've got design, and then we've got deliver. Okay, now deliver here, this is what most of us already do, right? We specialize in the delivery of our services. Okay, I think we can go a little bit deeper with the delivery because maybe you're just doing training right now and we need to add on the nutrition and the online component. But deliver is kind of what you would say coaches are trained to do, or especially if you're Fit Pro, like, you're trained to deliver. Like, that's what you learn, right? But really what delivering is about building a relationship. Like, that is what delivering is about. It's about building a relationship to build that trust, so that when you tell a client that I think I need you to train 3 days a week, that they're going to just be like, all right, I trust you. Let's do it. Or I need you to do this at home. Like, they're going to have that trust with you that you have their best interest in mind, right? So that's what our delivery is. And there's a few things that I just want to highlight with the delivery. The one is we want to try and create a frictionless or a friction-free experience. So we want to make the experience for clients as easy as possible, right? As easy as possible. If every time they want to get a hold of their coach, if they have to find their email, find your email address, send you an email, like, we're just creating a lot of barriers. And now I'm super busy. Like, I got so many things going on, whether or not it's actually the truth, right? Like, I'm not going to do, and so I'm going to opt to not do it, right? And so the easier we can make different scenarios with clients, the easier it is going to be the easier it's going to be for them to implement, right? And so that's where we just, like, what are the friction points in our business? Like, what is making it harder for our clients to execute what they need to do? So here's a good example. Is we were looking at our clients, and our client is typically I've never actually exercised before type of client. We get just your kind of 40 to 50-year-old. Maybe they did the aerobics thing. Maybe they've done the Jane Fonda thing. Like, maybe they've done like the workout video thing, but they've never really worked with a coach before, or never really worked with a gym. And the gym to them, right, is like the 80s and the 90s. Think Arnold, think bodybuilders, think a lot of huffing and puffing, throwing around big weights, right? Guys in like mini t-shirts type of stuff. And so they haven't seen kind of what the industry has evolved into in this kind of like boutique style, very welcoming, just normal people, right? Like normal looking people. Like everyone isn't jacked out of their minds. We're just normal looking people that just want to be healthy and love the community. And so we actually have a video that we send to them before their first session that basically walks them through our facility and just kind of shows where, hey, when you come in, here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do next. Here's where your coach is going to be. We're going to welcome you. We're going to greet you, yada, yada. So we basically kind of walk them through their first session before they even show up at our facility. And now when they open the door the first time, this isn't unfamiliar territory. It's like, oh, I've seen this. We actually like with the camera and like we're walking through and I'm like welcoming them along and like, hey, come over here, check this out, check this out. And so like, it's not new and they feel a little bit more familiar in the space. And so they're not as anxious and afraid of coming in that first time. So what are experiences that you can create that, and now like no one has ever done that for these clients before. No one has ever done it. And so now all of a sudden it's like, well, you guys are on another level. Like you guys are doing things completely different, which then allows you to do all of the other things you want to do, like charge the price that you're worth, right? And so look at those. Can you pinpoint in your business, like what are the friction points? What makes it harder for people to do business with us? We have one, so we don't have another one. We don't have a front desk person all the time. And so we have supplements and stuff that we sell in our facility. And so we're just like, I was taking a coach off the floor to go sell it and all this stuff. And clients kind of felt like they were maybe getting in the way to an extent. So we just put a black box and put some slips and said, hey, write down whatever you take, put it in the box. Like, we trust you. And so we just have a little list. They fill it out, put it in, their card's on file. We charge them whenever. They don't need to wait around. They have questions, they'll shout out, but like it's making it easy, right? For them. And there's technology solutions out there that make things easy. And there's also just straight up pen and paper things that make it easy. But how can you make the experience easier and more fun, more entertaining for that client? The next one is onboarding properly. So remember, like our clients are not us. Okay, we love fitness. We're all about fitness. We're going to new cities. We're jumping in gyms. Like that's like our space. We're comfortable there, right? That's our people. And so most of our clients, that is not their deal, right? This fitness thing is weird. And like having that much energy throughout the day, like this is not normal. And so this isn't normal for clients. And so onboarding them properly into your facility is really important because you're bringing them into some place completely new, completely different. And they're going to come in and everyone else is going to know what's going on. And they're going to be the ones that don't know what's going on. And they're going to feel like everyone's looking at them and all of these, like these are what people think. And we don't necessarily see it from our end because that's our space, right? We're comfortable there. But I like to do little scenarios with our coaches and we just go and learn something completely new for the first time. Like we'll take the coaches rock climbing and no one's ever belayed before or had to tie knots. And so you understand what it's like to be a beginner again. And it's like weird, like I've never been in a rock climbing gym. Like what are the rules? Am I supposed to step here? Do I go over here? Like, so it allows you to then step into those client shoes for a period of time and do something new. And then that allows you to look at your business and be like, all right, how do we onboard these people properly? So one way that we do it is everyone goes on a sequence. Okay, they go on a sequence. And for us, we do deliver it through Coach Catalyst, but you could deliver it however you want. But they go on a sequence that is, they get daily messages. They get daily messages, and then we ask them to check off whether or not they've read their message. And some days that message might be a video from me. Another day we might introduce another coach. Another day it might be another coach. We talk about our core values. We talk about who we are, what we're about, the community. We highlight different members of the community that have had success with us. And so we go really long lengths to be able to like show them what we're all about. Because they may only be in your facility a couple hours a week. They may not meet the evening coaches. They may not know how great the evening coaches are. And so we want to introduce them to us as an organization. And then for us, it allows us to onboard everyone the same way. So we can improve the process and systemize it. So I don't have to worry about if I lose a coach, like, oh, they were our onboard coach. Like, oh, they were now I have to bring someone else in and like figure that out. Like we onboard with technology because then I can have anyone run it. It doesn't matter. And the experience is consistent. And then we can continue to tweak it and improve it. And we've actually gotten to a point now where we're developing a different onboarding sequence for each demographic. And so we have an onboarding sequence for our 60 plus female, because the only thing that we change is the testimonials and the success stories that's in there. So when Susie is going through the onboarding process, she sees Mary that looks a lot like Susie, But Mary is like 12 months ahead of her. She's lost her 20 pounds. She's happy. She's fit. And so now Susie can see herself in Mary's skin and like, boom, this is the place for me. I don't need to go anywhere else. Like I'm just like Mary. And if Mary can do it, I can do it. And so we've started to look at that male versus female and age demographics, depending on what they're working on. But the rest of the content is the same, right? It's just really trying to tailor it to that individual. So that's onboarding properly. We need to have some sort of onboarding sequence. Even if you're just an individual coach, like try to systemize your onboarding process, because there's a lot of time during the week when they're not with you. They may only train 1 or 2 days a week, but you have the power now, especially with technology, to impact them, 23 other hours of the day. And then after that, so a lot of gyms take that step of onboarding. They do a good job there, but then we like stop there. We think, all right, once they're through the first 30 days, all right, they're a client for life. And unfortunately, it's just not the case. And so we recently at Coach Catalyst made some changes to our software that's allowed us to think about this differently from my facility. So I'm in a unique situation, right? Like I own a facility and we use Coach Catalyst, so I'm like a user, but then I'm also on the other side and I like help our dev team like figure out what we're going to create. And then I'm a user and I'm getting yelled at by our coaches because workflows are bad. And then I have to go to our dev team. And so like I'm in a unique situation to be on both sides. And so we came up with this new thing, and that it's allowed us now to do what we call the 365 journey. And so we've now taken our onboarding process and expanded it out to the first year with that client. And so what that means is in that first year, they're going to get strategic lessons. They're going to get strategic messages that get delivered from us. So pretty much once a month, towards the end of the month, they're going to get a lesson that we're in their head. We're like, what are you thinking about at the end of month 1? And then we're going to send a message that's an open-ended question that prompts them to follow up. So then we can have an organic conversation back and forth. So it could be something along the lines of, hey, you just finished your first month. What was your favorite thing about your first month here at FF? And then they respond back, and now we have the organic conversation. So we like to systemize the front end, the initial reach out. We want to systemize that, so I don't have to remember that Susie just finished her first month and I have to go to my email and then like send her an email and go through this huge checklist, and it's just never going to get done. It's too many things, so you just won't do it. That's how we operate. We just won't do it. And so how do we automate that piece, right? And then, but we can't automate the relationship. So we automate the initial, but then we have an organic conversation and we follow up and we be human beings, right? And we develop that relationship. So we've done that pretty much for the first 12 months. Maybe we'll go longer than that. I don't know. Right now, our goal is to build that out over the first, for the first 12 months. So we have a lot of lessons early. So a lot of lessons in the first 3 months or so. And then they start to get a little bit more sporadic because they're just getting more comfortable, right? They're getting more comfortable. They need different things at that point. So that's the after the onboard touch points there. So when we think about value that we deliver clients, we think about value as a triangle, okay? And we think about the triangle as having 3 sides. So there's 3 parts to the value that we provide clients at our facility and how we think about it. We think about a content piece, we think about it in a connection piece, and then we think about in an accountability piece. So we'll break each of those down. So the content piece, okay? We need to provide content for them, okay? And for most people, content is the workout, right? Workouts can be content, right? So they're coming to you, they're getting their workout, but we can also deliver content in other ways. We're educating them, right? We're teaching them about nutrition. We're teaching them about stress management. We're teaching them about mindfulness, breathing, all of these other things that we don't have enough time in that 60-minute session, especially if you're running semi-private, we have 4 people to a coach, or you're running groups with 25 to just you as a coach. Like, you just can't cover all this stuff, right? So we can start to build a curriculum around this. And so now I'm educating the entire client, not just the workout portion of that client. I'm helping fulfill the other areas of their life. So we talk about the what, the why, the how. And then I like multimedia, right? I like video. I love video because video allows you to create a relationship without you even being there. And so you've probably watched webinars, right? Or if you're watching this webinar, you're obviously watching because you hear me talking. But if you were to see me at a conference, right, you would feel like you maybe have a little bit of a connection to me because you were listening to me talk for 60 minutes. Like, if you hung out with me for 60 minutes, even though you didn't say anything, you were just listening to me, you feel like you have a little bit of a connection. And so now with your clients, if you're doing little videos here and there and they're watching you talk, they're seeing your mannerisms, they're seeing how you interact, and now they're going to just be that much more connected to you, so that when you do meet in person, that bond is that much stronger, right? You become their coach, or you become their facility, you become their tribe, right? And so that's where I like multimedia. So I like the video piece for sure. I also like the written piece because some people just like to read. That's easier. So even we've had some coaches that even just read the lessons. They have a lesson, they just read it. They're just on video reading it. Cool. Or you can have a lesson and then you do a little blurb on it and maybe go a little bit more in depth. Go a little bit deeper on it. It doesn't need to be anything like in depth. It's just you being you and educating your client like they're standing in front of you, right? So that's what we think about as content. Yes, the exercise content, you've got that down. That's what most people do, but can we do some content outside of that? The next one is connection. Okay, we need to connect. We need to connect and we need to make this easy, okay? Easy, easy, easy to connect with clients. And we also need to make it relevant. And when I say relevant, I mean, where does everyone hang out? So if I asked everyone to grab their phone, they would be able to grab it in about 3 seconds, right? I've got mine sitting right here. Most of you probably have it sitting next to your computer. You may even be scrolling on it right now while you're listening to this talk, right? I hope not, but you might be, okay? So like we live on our phones. So it has to be relevant to how that client communicates right now. Most people, email is becoming their mailbox, right? They're getting spam. Most people haven't figured out that they need to have an email for signing up for things, an email for personal things, and an email for business things. They have one email and everything comes into it. And so that means that when you send a message to them through email, you're going to be one of the other 100 that they got from J.Crew and the Gap and every other place that they've been to, right? And so you just have to fight through a lot of noise. So we need to make sure we're relevant, meaning they're on their phone. So most places people think about on their phone is text messaging. And I really struggle with this because text to me personally is very personal. Like those are my friends, those are my people. And when I get marketing stuff through my text, it's pretty much always stop, right? Because that's just not the place for that for me personally. And so for our clients, we kind of look at it in 2 phases. The communication before they become a client is however the client wants to communicate with us. They want to send us Facebook messages, IG messages. We will check all of that stuff for new clients because I can't necessarily kind of funnel that. So, well, however you want to communicate with us, awesome, do it. Once you become a member, you come into our VIP portal. Like this is our communication platform for our coaches and our clients. No one else gets this type of access. This is how we interact. And then we do that because we can provide good customer service. If I'm getting messages all over the place, emails, texting, they're texting my coaches, they're Facebooking us, they're IGing us, like I cannot provide good customer service. That's way too many places and I'm busy coaching people, right? And so we need to streamline that message platform with our clients so that we can provide them with good customer service. And then the client knows that if they need to get a hold of their coach, open, send a message, and it goes right to their coach. And the world is going this way. It's still a little early, but think about most people's doctor's offices. If you need to send a message to your doctor, you typically open up the hospital's app and you send them a message, and then they get back to you whenever they get back to you. So a lot of it is moving to app-based away from email because we understand that people are on their phones. And so from an app, we can optimize for the phone, right? And then we need to make it personal. Right. I think mass messaging is good and there's some components to it, but even just adding their first name somewhere in the message. And we can do that kind of in strategic ways with technology, which is kind of fun. But we make them feel like we're talking to them. And I like to automate the initial one, like we talked about earlier, but then everything after that is organic. Right. We automate that initial reach out to get them to respond. So I don't have to remember to do that. But then everything after they respond back becomes organic. And now we have a conversation like human beings and we build that trust and build that relationship. Now, the third and the base of the triangle is accountability. And this is just what great coaches do, right? They hold their clients accountable. And with workouts, it's easy. Okay, you didn't show up for your workout. It's like makes sense. They didn't show up when they had an appointment, right? It's a lot harder with nutrition because nutrition doesn't happen with you. It happens somewhere else. And then when they're with you, they're there to work out. And so it's hard to affect those other areas, right? And so I see accountability with workouts. Everyone does it. And if you're doing it in groups, you should be running lost sheep reports. Well, we call them lost sheep reports, but other people call them other things. But like if a client hasn't showed up for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, someone needs to be reaching out to them. That's part of the accountability. That's why a boutique gym can be successful because they can actually do that. And you actually want people to show up. You're not the mega gym that sells 10,000 memberships, but only wants 1,000 people to show up because they don't have the space for 10,000 people, right? You're in, I want every single person to show up, because you're at a higher price point. And if people don't show up, they no longer see value, and then you lose a client, right? And so everything in your body should be getting them to show up. If they're not showing up, we should figure out why. And once we figure out why, maybe it's not the right solution and they need a different solution. And so we need to figure out what's going on. And sometimes it's just not going to be a good fit or whatever. And like, that's fine. But remember, we're trying to bat 1,000 here. We're not trying to bat 900. And then it also needs to be data driven. So you need to know how they're doing on a day-to-day basis. I shouldn't have to ask my client how they're doing. I should be given data that tells me that Susie's been struggling with her water intake. As long as Susie's been doing her check-ins, like, I'm going to know. And then we want to automate a lot of that stuff, because you just physically can't text every one of your clients every day to see if they did their habit, right? We can use technology to make that happen. But what's important is we frame it in a way where, as a coach, I'm watching these check-ins to see how successful you are. And if you're not checking in, I'm going to reach out and figure out what's going on. Hey, you haven't checked in the last couple of days. Let's get you back on it. And now we're doing the coaching work. Like, we want to automate all of this other stuff and then do the human work of actually helping people change. Because technology doesn't make people change. Like, it's humans that help people change, right? So the last piece with deliver here is like your business systems. We need to have systems. And I really struggle with this. I'm very much like I'll figure it out. Like, I started by myself. And so you have systems. Everyone has systems, but all my systems were in my head. And so, like, I just did it that way because I was learning and I was trying things, but it was only me. And so I could have whatever system I wanted, right? If I didn't want to make it efficient, cool. It's me that's working the longer hours. And so, but once you bring on that next person, and then the next person, and then the next person, now you can't replicate yourself. And if you're going to have to teach every single person what they need to do, then you're no longer going to be able to do anything else. And so we need to create the system and run the system for really everything that we do. And that includes this never lose a client. We should have our strategy on how we're going to try and keep every client. And then we track it with our retention rate to see if we're successful. And if we're not, we adjust and we adjust and we adjust until you start getting it right. But if we're not tracking it, we don't know, right? So we need to track that number. How many clients are we keeping month over month? And then we need to constantly be tweaking it and improving it, because your business is going to change. My business has completely been overhauled in the last 3 months because I've had time to think about it. And if you started your business from scratch, it's usually like this hodgepodge things of like what you're learning, like, oh, group training's it. Let's do that. All right, semi-private's better. Let's do that. The walls, like the whole, just the atmosphere, the brand, like, it's just all like someone threw up in our facility, right? There's no this or that, because it's just like we're figuring it out. And it's not until you've done it one time that you're like, all right, this really works. This is where you actually help people or make money. This is what brand consistency looks like. This is what a facility should feel like when you come in. And so with this big closure, we're able to kind of reinvent ourselves to an extent and get rid of the things that we were just hanging on because we were just hanging on to them for our own ego, or because we had that one client that still liked it, but it was taking up 10 hours of our time, right? Where now we have an excuse to change things because the world is different. So constantly looking at it, tweaking it, and letting the numbers drive it. So what's my retention rate month over month? Is it under 95? All right, we need to put some stuff in place. Is it hovering around 98%? Then we're probably pretty good. You can still work on some stuff, but let's keep on working on that. Because remember, the goal is 100% or batting 1,000. And in the coaching, this is like what you guys know, right? This is what clients will stay around for. And this is what we really need to do as coaches. We need to remind them of their wins. So like, I think too many times clients are always focused in the now. It's like, I want to move to that next thing. I want to do something. But it's like, hey, Susie, you just lost. Like, you're 20 pounds down from when you started. I know you want to get 40 down, but like, let's pause for a second and like congratulate that. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, right? And so clients are very much of the mindset of like, what have you done for me lately, to an extent? It's like, well, I've done a lot for you. Like, you're down 50 pounds. I know you want to get to 70 pounds, but like, you're down 50 pounds. So we're doing something right, right? And then reminding them of their why. A lot of people just get caught up in life. They get caught up in the stress. They get caught up in everything that's going on. And like, why did they come to you initially? So that's where that learning phase comes in, right? We can always refer back to that learning phase to help use that as a motivator down the road. Because ultimately, as coaches, we can't force people to change. Our goal is to be their guide, stand by their side, and help navigate the path. Maybe shine a flashlight here and there to help, just kind of help enlighten the path for them. But ultimately, they have to take the steps, right? And so showing them their progress, again, I think is with that win, finding ways to show progress. And then like simple one is like calling them out when they're not doing the things that they want to do. And if they aren't doing the things they want to do, let's figure out why. That's our job as coaches. So the last piece, and I think the piece that most people get the most stuck on and the hardest thing, we do not do this well enough. And this is something that we are going to look at my facility really, really hard in the next 12 months and figure out our system for this. But it's refining it. It's the most overlooked. We spend so much time on the front end. All right, we want to provide a great experience right from the start, onboarding process, first 30 days, first 60 days, first 90 days. But we forget about like this review process, right? They came to you with a goal. Okay, they wanted to accomplish something. And now we're just kind of hoping that they accomplish it. Maybe there's some little check-ins here and there, but what we're moving to at our facility is full-on goal reviews. So every 3 months, the goal is to get everyone to talk to their coach or the success manager for 30 minutes just to review what's going on. Hey, at the beginning, you talked about wanting to do this. Now you're here. We have our measurements. We know what's going on. Do we need to change the prescription? Okay, maybe you're only training 2 days a week. What do you think about bumping up to 3 days a week, right? Or maybe you need to do some nutrition coaching. And so change the prescription to help them reach their goal or continue as normal. But it's just these little stops in the road where we can just take a step back and see what's going on. Because I think a lot of times clients get so heads down moving forward that this gives us a chance to stop them, make sure that we have provided them with the correct solution because their life may have changed. Maybe they have a lot more free time now. And originally time was their issue and they can only train 2 times a week. But now things have freed up and like they would definitely move up to 3 times a week, but no one's ever really asked them. And so that gives you an opportunity to refine the prescription and look at measuring what matters, right? So if it's weight loss, making sure we're measuring what matters there. If it's performance-based, make sure we're measuring what matters. If it's flexibility-based, if it's more of maybe an older client that wants function and movement, then we're measuring what matters to that client. We're looking at those and then we either continue course or we correct course and give them a new prescription. So that's just the job as coaches. And many times we just fall into, hey, it's the end of the training, it's 3 times a week. And if they're showing up for training, they're going to be happy. Well, like to an extent. And so this is how you go from like good to great as you find a way. And maybe that means you have to increase your price a little bit to make this happen, but you're going to be serving the client. And this is what's going to make them stay. And then you review their progress and change the plan as necessary, right? And then I'll talk about how you can even, so right from the get, we think about every 3 months, okay? Every 3 months right off the get, but you can tweak that a little bit and I'll show you how here in a second. But we want to talk about implementation. So implementation, like how do we actually make this happen? So great, Trevor, this theory is awesome. Like I'm so busy, like we'll see if I am able to get to any of this. And so like, let's talk about implementation. Like how do we actually make this work? Because there's a lot of kind of moving parts here, right? So the first thing, it needs to be easy. It's gotta be easy for you. It's gotta be easy for the client. It's not easy, we're not gonna do it right away, okay? And then it's gotta be very clear. The implementation has to be really clear on what we're doing, what we're measuring, so that we know if we're being successful with it, right? The communication, like I talked about earlier, there needs to be some sort of tool there for communication. I think this is the thing I'm probably talking about most to coaches right now. I see too many coaches like giving out their personal cell phone number. Like that's great, right? It's awesome. Like, and we all do it. Like I'm guilty as anyone else. We all do it right at the beginning, but there's a few issues I have with that. The first one is, yes, we want to have these nice, strong personal relationships with these clients, but we're not friends, right? We're probably not going to go hang out. Like we're friends, but we're not like close friends, right? And so there needs to be a level of professionalism where like, I'm your coach, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you accomplish something. It's like your therapist, right? You don't have your therapist's personal cell phone number. Most people don't have their therapist's personal cell phone number, but you have the office number, right? Or you have some other way to communicate with them. So they own that communication a little bit more. And so as a coach, as a professional, if you want to be viewed as a professional, we need to make sure that we have some of these things in place so that we're setting the perception right from the start, right? It's not just a friend showing you some exercises in the gym. This is someone who's put in the work, done the time, and set up the systems in order to allow you to be successful. So accountability is another one. We've talked about that ad nauseum so far. So I think we get the point there. And then making sure that everything is on a schedule. Okay, if you just rely on your brain, you're going to lose. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some tools that you can actually use here. So obviously I run Coach Catalyst, and this is a lot of like what we do, the core of what we do. So I'll show you a second there, but Trello is another thing we use a lot, especially internally. So Trello is, it's like a project management tool, really simple, has a lot of automations, and it doesn't need to be complicated. So this is what it could look like. You do an initial goal session with someone. Okay, you have the date on when that goal session is going to occur. Once you do that goal session, it is completed. You just drag it and move it over to the completed column. So all these cards, they can move across. Okay, they can move across to the right. Put it in the completed column. Good, awesome. If you're the only person, then you put a new date on it. You put a new date on it for 90 days later. And then you move it over to the month 3 column. And now it's gonna have a new date on it. And when that date gets close, it's going to turn red. The card's gonna change color. It's gonna alert you, whatever you want, so that now you know, all right, here are the people coming up this week, and I can actually change this to a calendar view if I want. But here are the people this week that I need to follow up with because their 3-month goal review session or progress review session is up. And so now I don't have to remember, I just have to work the system. And then when I finish that review session, I set it for another 90 days. And there's even like really cool automations where you can just press a button and it automatically updates it. But it's really, really simple. It doesn't need to be a complicated system. And then you just have it alert you. Like you have it send you notifications, and it's part of your week. At the end of your week, you look at what's coming up next. So that would be Trello. Really, really good way to track this. And here's just a back-end look of Coach Catalyst. It's our client journey. So every client inside Coach Catalyst has a journey. So this is what we use for everything: nutrition coaching, onboarding, client journey, 365, messaging, like it's all in here. And so this would be like a client's journey. On that journey are messages. Those are the little graduation hats with the green circles. We have actions that we maybe want them to accomplish, done or not done type of things. And then messages, you'll see those on the right side, which are kind of the light green little message bubbles. And so that means that there's a message going out on that day. So this is for the 12th of June, there's gonna be a message that goes out on that day. So I can automate that process, right? Automate that front end. So then I'm creating this really cool experience for the client, but I don't have to remember to send that message on June 12th. Like it just happens, right? It would be the exact same message that I would send. And the cool thing about inside Coach Catalyst is if I wanted to update that message, I could just go in there and update it quick and then be done with it. And if I wanted to personalize it a little bit more, cool. And then it's gonna go out to that client. And so I can automate the delivery of information. I can automate the delivery of accountability and also kind of the delivery of the initial reach out. So next level here, and this is, we're getting close to the end here. So next level, start with quarterly. Okay, that's number one. If you don't know where to start, start with quarterly. Every 3 months, you sit down for a 30-minute session for that client, right? Because that 30-minute session could be the difference between that client thinking like, I'm just not getting what I need out of this. And all right, cool, Lindsay understands me. She knows where I need to go. We've reformulated my prescription, and now I feel really good about my next 3 months, right? Because if we don't ask, we don't know. And so this is our chance to ask and figure out what's going on. And then we need to find the cliff. So if you want to go next level, and maybe you're not ready to do it every 3 months, but you have the data to look at it, we start looking at when do our clients leave. Okay? Do we typically, what's the typical lifetime span of our clients? Is it 6 months? Is it 8 months? Is it 12 months? And then you go 1 month before that typical one, and that's where your first progress session happens, right? If your typical client leaves after 8 months, we have one in month 6 or month 7, okay? So now we connect with that client again, we figure out what's going on, and then we probably keep them for another 8 months. We probably double that. And then we figure out, all right, now we've extended it. Now our lifetime of the client has went from 8 months to, let's say, 16 months. Cool, now let's figure out in that process where it's happening. So we still need that first one at 6 or 7, but now we know we get another probably 8 months before they leave again. So now we probably need another one at maybe 14, okay, or 15 in there. And so now you start to figure out what's your cadence that you need based on what's already happening in your facility. Because some facilities just naturally have a lot more interaction with clients and they may not need as much of this. And they may have really good retention rates right now. And so they may not need them as frequently. But if you're not keeping clients more than 6 months, this retention is an issue. retention is definitely an issue. And so, but it's not an issue that can't be fixed. It's cool. It's data, and we'll figure it out. And like, there's plenty of people out there to be able to train. And so you just keep fixing things, and then you find those cliffs. So you find the cliff when the client's going to fall off. You put, something in front of that cliff so they don't go off the cliff, and then we turn them around and run them a different direction, right? So find the cliff if you want to go a little bit more, but if you don't know where to start, 3 months. Just go with 3 months. It's a good place to start. So to win this new game, you have to deliver solutions with relationships. It's really solutions wrapped in relationships. So solutions, we got to make sure we're serving the client and what they actually want to accomplish. And they don't want to necessarily accomplish 3 times a week workouts. Like, that's not what they want to accomplish. They want to accomplish that deep core value, being able to play with their grandchildren for a really long time, feeling confident when they're out with their friends, being able to take their shirt off on the beach and feel really good about themselves. Like, there's all these things that are deeper than, working out 3 times a week. And so we take that, we help them move towards that. So we're providing a solution, but then we wrap it in this relationship, right? We build the trust, we build the relationship, which then allows them, or what then ultimately keeps them for the next 12, 24, 36, 5 years, 6 years, that kind of stuff. So those are the 4 stages. We've got learn. Remember, in the learn stage, we're going to assess. In the design stage, we're going to prescribe. That's where you prescribe what they should be doing. Level 3, or the next stage, is deliver. That's the client journey. Okay? And then level 4 is we refine. Every 3 months, review the progress, see what's going on, review the prescription, alter the prescription, update the prescription if necessary. And that's it.
Awesome.
That is it.
Thank you, Trevor. I think so if you have questions, you can either come on live. Technically, I think you're here till 4:15 and then starts your Q&A. So, and I don't think you're leaving this room, so you can hang out.
That'd be good, because I don't know where the Q&A is.
I think you're just hanging out here.
Okay.
I have a few things that I think would be relevant as anybody wants to chat. So this would have been something, I've told you this before, when I had my studio before I sold, this would have been a tool I would have been all over, because Coach Catalyst. But something you said, partly because I always struggled with, and I think a lot of fitness professionals struggle with this challenge, is I want to keep it personal, but if I make it too technology driven, it'll feel automated and it'll take that personal touch out of it. And I think you hit on it, whether it's Coach Catalyst or whether it's automated email or something else. The amount of time I think you coined it as like controlling the communication, even through email. I mean, how many of us are so overwhelmed and it feels like it has to sound a certain way? There's also something about the brevity of sort of that text message format. It takes the formality that I think a lot of clients, in that back and forth appreciate. But I think controlling that conversation, I think is important. And I think if there was a big takeaway that, that I thought about was, it's the customer service. It's really customer service, professionalizing your communication. Talk a little bit more, and I think maybe without so many words, you did say this, it's really about retention, but what do you think, I believe retention, when somebody says they can't afford it anymore, or usually the reasons we get why people are canceling aren't the real reasons. So if they say they can't afford us, it's usually because we haven't done a good job communicating our value. Yep. What are some other things that you've seen, or what benchmarks, or maybe some of those, I love that friction point analogy, like what's the friction points that you think that we might, like fitness professionals can really, they may not even be aware of, that are creating a problem in their retention?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to this review session, to know like exactly what clients, and we've been guilty of this like big time at my facility, because we're so busy training clients, that what actually happened in this crisis right now is we were forced to move all online, and we had great relationships with our clients. We were able to retain a lot of them. And our coaches, I challenged them to talk to every client, right? We're not training people, but we got to talk to people. And so like set up calls, and just talk to people. And all of our coaches were like, oh man, that was awesome to be able to really like dig in one-on-one for 20, 30 minutes and figure out exactly what someone wanted. Because it was just dedicated to them. It's very rare in our facility where we're one-on-one. We run like a semi-private type model and a group model. And so our clients could technically like reach out to us whenever they want, and we would be more than willing to sit down and have that conversation. And we have on a handful of occasions, but really putting it out there and having them schedule that call and just talking to them was huge. And it was really an eye opener for us. And that's why this progress piece is such a big part of this talk. That's something that we need to figure out. We're going to figure out how to implement it, even if it means we need to hire someone else or whatever. But like, I think it's that important for retention, because people don't quit. So the most common one is going to be like, I can't afford it anymore. Or like, I mean, we just get that one a lot, right? But really what I can't afford it anymore is like, I don't see the value in I don't see the value in this anymore. Unless like you lost your job or like something changed dramatically in your financial situation. Most people, like, nothing's changed. Like, our prices aren't much different. Like, I can't afford it anymore. It's just their way of saying like, I don't see the value in this anymore. And that's, to us, means we're not providing to them what that client needs. And not knowing what they need is the fastest way for them to leave. But if I know what you need, I can then try and come up with a solution. And then if sometimes we're not the right solution, and that's okay. And then we move along. So yeah, I definitely think the progress thing is huge.
Absolutely. I think that was great. There's, let's see. There's a question just to get a sense of the size of your business. How many coaches work with you? And do you still coach clients, or is your time occupied with managing it all?
Yes. So for me, we always hover around 200 clients, give or take. And we have a staff of 5 coaches, 4 full-time. And when I say coaches, our admin is included in that, because she does some coaching too. 5 coaches, 4 full-time, and one part-time. And I would be included in that. I still coach probably about, it was more until all of this happened. But probably 5 hours to 10 hours a week, give or take. I have very specific times when I coach. So if you want to work with me, I'm training early, 6 a.m. So, and that's just kind of how I've transitioned myself, as I have Coach Catalyst stuff to take care of. And so for us, our staff, we really try and find people with unique skill sets. And so we have one coach that's really heavy in nutrition, another coach that's really heavy in movement. And so we all kind of complement each other well from a staffing standpoint. So if a client does have a question, I might not be the one, but someone on our staff is going to have the answer. And our staff is actually we have one person we have one coach that's like 62. So, and then we have another coach that's like 24, and then I'm kind of mid 30s. Another coach is kind of early 30s. So we kind of have a nice breadth of experience to an extent as well. And so I was super excited when we got our coach that was 60, because like, she's awesome. Like, she just has way more experience than all of us, and she relates to that client so well. And she just brings another perspective. So yeah, so I'm still involved very much in the coaching aspect. I think you have to be to an extent. It's hard to just manage. Like, even our coaches that may do some managing, like, they have to coach still too. Like, you have to stay in touch with that. Even if it's only a few hours a week, you still need to have that as a core. And most coaches got into this to coach. They didn't get into it to manage people. Like,
and this, I think, for fitness professionals, adding these layers of the accountability and the coaching and providing content, first of all, and maybe you can talk to what you've seen, and I'm doing this because people are sticking around. So I think they're liking this, and there's a lot of good stuff. So, and maybe they're just hanging around for the Q&A. I don't want to get ahead of that.
That's all right.
But, to this point, never lose a client again. I think in this industry right now, the way it's changing and the way the consumer is looking at fitness, they're looking at fitness completely differently. They've seen the online and they see the options they have exposure to. The differentiator, it never was, but more importantly, like fitness, the exercise part is not going to be the strong differentiator for fitness professionals anymore, because the consumer now knows they want to look like, what else can they offer me? So talk to how you've seen in your business with the coaches that you work with, meaning when I say coaches, you work with through Coach Catalyst. What are other fitness professionals, owners, how are they using a system, whether it's like Coach Catalyst or accountability and coaching, in order to differentiate themselves from every other fitness place?
Yeah, I think number one is you have to provide solutions, right? And so we don't provide workouts, we provide solutions, and workouts are just a component of that solution, right? Because clients don't come to you for workouts. They come to you for solutions. I want to get stronger. I want to get faster. I want to lose weight. I want to get up and off the ground with my grandkids. Like they come to you with solutions. So in our marketing, we provide solutions. Like exercise is just like a piece of that, right? And being able to provide the whole solution, not just the exercise piece. Can you do the mindset piece? Can you do or someone on your staff, can they do the nutrition piece? Can we serve the entire client and not just maybe the physical aspect of that client? How can we serve all of it? And then that's usually why they come to you in the first place and why they stay as a community. And so if you can build a community around the clients, and so the clients love seeing the other clients, now that's how things start to get really sticky. And as a coach, you can kind of step back and just kind of guide this thing as it moves along and make sure that you're protecting the community. And then you allow the community to support each other. And like, I mean, we can learn a lot from other kind of pieces of the fitness industry. CrossFit does a phenomenal job with this from a community standpoint. The clients that I love right now are actually our best client right now is my kids just went off to college and I've got a little more free time. And I'm going to come to the gym. And once I find my place, like, I don't need to search. I've been around too long to search around. Like, I don't need to find another place. I'm not going to win. Like, once I find my people, like I'm staying forever. And so like, that's why I like the Functional Aging Institute, like this whole thing, right? This is the market, because the people that are coming into this phase right now are people that have lived with exercise. So like my parents that are mid 60s, or even my grandparents that are like early 90s, like exercise, like what's exercise? Like, I just get on the farm and I go milk the cows and like we go, like exercise was life, right? Where now we've moved to a more sedentary society. And so the people that are in their 50s right now and starting to get older, they've been active their whole life. They've organized sports was like a real deal. With my mom, even like weren't a ton of organized sports for females when she was going through elementary school or grade school or even into high school. But now this generation that's coming into this, that, you know, the kids are going off to college, they have more time, but they want to go mountain climbing, they want to go hiking, they want to do all of this stuff, they want to be active, and they have the money to pay for it, disposable income to pay for it, and they're loyal. Like they're super loyal. Like they once they find their person or their gym, I don't need to go anywhere else.
That's what's so unique about the senior, that, you know, aging population, or that, you know, the active agers, is they are incredibly loyal once you find them. I think though, you know, we can't take that for granted. So I think, you know, to kind of to your point, where I think, and I saw this in my business, where it's easy to kind of get complacent, like, oh yeah, they've been coming for 3 years. Meanwhile, like, are their eyes looking somewhere else, or are things changing, and are their goals changing? Maybe they aren't what they were that first time you met them in their one session 18 months ago. So to your point about systematizing, somebody said that, like, thanks for emphasizing about like actually creating a system around accountability, whether it's a technology or just putting it in your calendar, like a Trello, or your good old fashioned calendar. I meet with this client every 3 months. Here are the questions that we ask. We just can't take for granted that, you know.
And that can extend out. Like initially in the relationship, it needs to be more frequent, but it could very easily, if a client's been with you for 5 years and they're doing semi-private training, like if you met a couple times a year, like that would be enough for that client to feel really good about the relationship and what's going on and them being heard. And so
and they appreciate that so much 100%. Because it feels, I think in their eyes, if we put ourselves in the client's shoes, they might feel like you're giving so much energy to the new clients. And it's like, well, I've been here for years, and give them that dedicated time.
Right. And just making, like putting it on, and then giving the client the choice. If they don't need it or they don't want it, that's okay. But we want to make sure that we're providing it and giving that opportunity to be able to do it.
Absolutely. I think we'll wrap up unless there's any other questions. If you are staying for the Q&A, I think you're just hanging out here. So
cool.
If everybody just wants to hang tight, I'm going to stop this recording.